DJ, I would say the biggest thing I learned this year watching Hard Knocks was that Jon Gruden handles his anger by counting backwards from 100 by 3. Has this guy ever heard of alcohol? Why wouldn't he just turn to alcohol?
I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be really good at it soon because ever since that episode, I was like 100, 97, 94, 91, 88, 85. I'm starting to get good at it.
Dude, I have a theory that next time we podcast in person, we're each gonna drink a bunch of beers and we're gonna have a race, and it's just gonna be a loud, obnoxious race from 100 down to you can't even get to 0, I don't think. But we're gonna try it. And let's get loaded because this is the Loaded Box Podcast,
where we never finish first because we finish last. The ball's on you.
It's on me, and oh my God, it's here, degenerates. It's here. It's week 1 of the NFL season, and we have been itching to gamble on the sport we love since the Super Bowl. And guess what, DJ?
No.
Oh my God, it's here. I don't even know how you're not like standing up during this podcast. We have been waiting to bet on NFL football. It was nice to bet on college games last week. Man, NFL just is my bread and butter when it comes to gambling.
I'm already up like 24 units right now. I'm up $240 with the solid. So 24 units, my units are 10.
Nice. Well, everyone, thanks again for tuning in to the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben Moore. I'm an excited Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo. We are back. It's our second preview podcast of NFL Week 1. Our first one was fantasy football focused. This one's for you, the degenerates. It's the gambling-focused podcast. So we're going to be going game by game. We're going to be giving our straight-up picks. We're going to be giving our against the spread picks. And specifically, we're going to highlight those games that we're actually putting our money on that we think you should put your money on. And we're going to be tracking these throughout the entire season. So all of our picks are going to be documented. You're going to be able to see how good we're doing and follow us, or how bad we're doing and continue to follow us and just soak in this pain with us. So DJ, before we get started on the games, let's hear kind of like your overview, your strategy for how you go about betting on NFL football games.
So here's the thing. First off, I want to say that this is the one thing I actually hate the most about the NFL. I love it, but it's like a love-hate. Is because I can get up on college, and I'm up right now good, and I as soon as I bet on the NFL, I'm going to be down $500 at the end of the year. I know it. It is what it is.
Do you think it's partially because like you know probably more about NFL teams than college teams, so you almost overthink it, knowing that, hey, this team is probably going to lose, but they have X, Y, and Z, which may prevent the other team from covering, and it just kind of gets into your head?
Hey, you know what I always say? I'm not comfortable unless I'm uncomfortable. It's that season again.
We're going to use that tagline again in 2019. I am so pumped. DJ, go ahead.
So last year when I did my strategy, I found 3 teams that I wanted to fade immediately.
Right.
I don't know that I've done that yet. I might just make it up right now as we go. For sure, I'm still fading. I'm fading Kansas City 3 games in a row. The hype's going to be huge. I'm going to fade Kansas City. Or I found 2 teams that I faded last year and one that I was riding for first 3 weeks. As it just seemed like teams that were being forgotten about. I think the other thing I'm going to do, and I might have to add them, is bet on Tampa Bay because I think they're underrated and they will be in games. They might lose a bunch of them, but I think they will be in games because people are going to think that they're terrible this year.
When you were doing that fading of the teams last year and you started out probably the first 3 or 4 weeks, you were hitting like 80% of your bets, weren't you?
Nailing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about where you ended. I think you still ended up with like a slight profit margin, but it dwindled. So this year, what do you say? We start hot. We try to end at 60%. That can be the goal.
Yeah, and then the other team I would fade for sure, and I did have this one in my head. They're not a part of my bets, but the other team I would tell you to fade, and I'm probably going to now that I'm saying it, it's Cleveland. First 3 weeks, fade Cleveland.
There it is. Well, let's kick off week 1. Let's start with the Falcons and the Vikings. The Vikings are favored by 4. The over-under is 48. Who do you have straight up? Who do you have against the spread? And then if it's one of your actual picks, go ahead and let us know why it's one of your actual picks.
So let's just get into it. This is one of my actual picks, so I'm not going to
start it off.
I'm not going to just talk about it like it's not one of my picks. So I'm going to give you my actual bet here. I love Atlanta plus 3.5 at Minnesota. Also, I know I did give Kirk Cousins and all these guys as good guys to play. I just I don't think that I believe in Minnesota, and I think Atlanta's going to come in with some firepower. I don't think their defense is going to be as strong as it has been in Minnesota, and I just think Kirk Cousins in the end. It's going to be a tight game, and in the end, I think Kirk Cousins is just going to choke it away. I've got 3.5. I got plus 3.5. I think you had a different spread.
Yeah, I had 4.
I had plus 3.5, and I looked at it like 30 minutes ago on my app. So I've got this plus 3.5 Atlanta for 3 units. I love this game. I love it.
Do you like them straight up too, or just covering the spread?
So I will take them straight up in this game because I think I mean I've always said this. I'm not going to pick a dog unless I think that they can win. That's another one of my things. So I'm not going to be like, oh, they can cover. I think that they can win this game because I don't want to be like, oh, I think they can lose by less than 10 because that just is like that's when you're stressing the entire game. No, I'm going to think that a team can win, and I 100% think Atlanta goes in and upsets Minnesota right away off the bat.
That's bold. That's when you.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's bold. That's when you decide to bet the spread one way and the money line the other way, and you just double profit it.
Yeah, I might because I don't know. I can't remember what the record, and I'm just guessing here, but I know it's close to what I'm about to say. Kirk Cousins is 5-26, I believe it was, against teams with over a 500 record.
Yeah, there is a crazy stat. I know exactly what you're talking about on that. And I won't go into as much in depth in this one because it's not one of my actual against the spread picks that we're counting for in our yearly record here. But I am straight up Vikings, and I'm against the spread Falcons for a lot of the reasons you said. But I think that these teams are so close. I projected them both as like playoff teams or just on the cusp of being playoff teams. And I think they're within 4 points of each other. And week one, there might be a little bit of rust on both sides. It might be a little bit sloppy on both sides. I don't know that this game goes much higher than that 4 or 3.5 point spread, whichever it is. So yeah, I'm kind of with you on this one. I'm going to go against the spread. I'm going to take Atlanta as well. So let's cut right into the second game on the schedule. The Redskins at the Eagles. We got the Eagles favored by 9.5, over under of 45.5. What do you got here?
So what I like in this game is, God, this is tough because it's the first game of the season. Teams are going to be a little hyped up. Straight up Philly. I think that's easy. Philly wins this game.
Yep.
If I have to go on one side, which I really don't want to at all, I think since it's a rivalry in division, first game, everybody's fresh. I think Washington can at least keep it within 10 points, so under the 10 points. So I'm going to lean Washington against the spread, but I don't like it one way or the other.
All right. Well, we're going to keep the tradition rolling here because I'm actually on this one. This is a bet for me because straight up I like Philly. Against the spread, I like Philly. Just look at these teams just coming into the season. You've got the Eagles with a healthy Carson Wentz. They've got a plethora of running backs now. They have a healthy wide receiver crew. Alshon Jeffrey's healthy for one of the first times. They have one of the best tight ends. They have a really good defense with good pass rushers. And now look at the Redskins. They have Darius Geis. I'm not quite sure what all they're planning on doing this year, but man, I don't think it's going to, like Case Keenum starting, I don't know how long that's going to last. Remember when Deshaun Watson was on the bench for the first half of week one when he was a rookie? Yeah. I think we could maybe end up seeing, not Dwayne Haskins in this game, but sooner rather than what Case Keenum would want. For a lot of those reasons that I just said, I like the Eagles to just totally demolish them at home, set the tone, win this game by 14 plus. I've got 2 units on the Eagles.
I mean, I can't hate it, but I understand Case Keenum's probably going to break his leg. Let's be honest.
True.
That's what they do in Washington, right? And that might actually bode bad for you and better for them because Dwayne Haskins, I just have a feeling he's going to be a really good quarterback in this league. Really good quarterback in this league. But it's hard for me to go against a team, somebody winning by 10 points week one and a division rivalry is tough. Can we rewind back to Kirk Cousins for one quick second?
Yep.
So I just brought this up. So I've got 6 career stats I found for Kirk Cousins. In primetime games, he's 6-13.
Ouch.
On Monday and Thursday night, he's 1-12. Versus winning teams, he's 5-25. So that's a record. And Atlanta's is probably a winning team, right? Like they're more than likely a winning team.
Right.
Versus winning teams in 2018, he was 1-6.
My gosh.
Career road record is 13, 23, and 2, and his postseason record is 0-1. He fucking stinks on the road and at night against winning teams.
What is your source here? Like www.terribлекirkcousinstats.com? Like what? Who compiled all these for you?
It's SB Nation I stole it from.
That's fantastic. No, good find. That's just terrible numbers.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Let's go into the next game. We've got a division rivalry. We got the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. I've got the Jets favored by 3 with an over-under of 41. What do you have for this one?
So this is one of my bets again.
Ooh.
And this is my favorite of the whole entire weekend.
Nice.
I'm on the Jets train. I'm riding it hard. Buffalo at New York -3. Jets aren't going to run them out of the gym. So I know they're playing on a football field, but they're going to run them out of the gym.
If there was a gym, they'd be out of it.
Look, we're looking at Josh Allen and 0 wide receivers. Who knows who's played running back? An offensive line that isn't good. He's going to be running. He's going to have to run for his life, but I don't think he's going to get away. He's going to get sacked. Sam Darnold, extremely underrated at this point. I think people are going to see the coming out of Sam Darnold. This guy is going to make his rival in Josh Allen look like he wished he never stepped on the field with him, because he's going to light it up. Robbie Anderson, Jamison Crowder, Chris Herndon, whoever it is. I've got 4 units on the Jets. Blitz Buffalo. 4 units on this. Put up your mortgage.
Well, I know it won't be Chris Herndon. He's suspended for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, whatever.
But whoever his backup is, I'm with you on this one because I'm betting it as well. This is one of my tracked picks here. I've got 3 units on it though. Going with the Jets. This line was super surprising to me because I sort of think about the Jets as about 3 points better than Buffalo the way it is. And you're allegedly supposed to get 3 points for being the home team anyways. So I imagined this game being like a 6-7 point spread. And when I went through the list, I was like, it's Buffalo, New York. It's always a close game. I'm going to let it slide. Took another glance through there, and I was like, if I'm going to get the home team in this game by less than 3.5, I have to take it. And I believe that 3 units is probably my biggest wager of week 1. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm scared that we're both on it. That's historically not worked well for us if we're both on the same game. But I've got to do it for all the same reasons you did. I think Sam Darnold is lights out better than what Josh Allen is, and we all know that quarterbacks drive this league. The Jets' defense is better. Their skill players is better. One guy you didn't mention, Le'Veon Bell. That dude's going to be coming out just like a man on fire if Adam Gase turns around and just gives him the ball. So I'm expecting big things out of Bell, expecting big things on a Darnold. I love the Jets here, -3.
I actually don't even know why I didn't say Le'Veon Bell because I love him with like a passion.
You had to save a little bit for me since we're both on it.
Apparently, and then just mention a guy that's not even playing. So whatever.
I got to make up for it.
That's how bad they're going to beat him. They're going to let him get in.
Right.
They're just going to throw him out there.
I'm nervous that we're both on this next game as well. It's the Ravens -7 at the Dolphins with an over/under of 37.5. Are you on this one?
That over-under, you know me. If I see a number that low, I want to bet the under so bad. I'm not on this game.
No.
Baltimore wins 100%. Not a problem. I don't know what will happen at the end of this game. There might be some garbage that happens with Fitzpatrick at the end because that's when he seems to do it.
All right.
Baltimore will take a lead pretty quick, pull away. And like I said, I'm scared of the fourth quarter. Fitzmagic. He'll probably end up playing this whole game, but he won't play many more games after this. So straight up, money line. I may bet the money line in this game, even though it's probably a significant number not to win as much. But Baltimore easy. I'm not jumping on the spread here.
Oh, see, I feel like I have to, and I think it's kind of funny that you brought up that over under because I look at 37.5 and I'm just like, yeah, Miami's not really going to score all that much. But man, this is the one week I've been dogging Baltimore's offense pretty much all offseason. They could put up 38 and put this game over themselves. I'm pretty confident that they're going to win. They're my straight up pick. They're my against the spread pick. I'm putting 2 units on it. I don't have faith that the Dolphins can stop Mark Ingram. We talked about it on the preview podcast for fantasy. He's going to have a big day. They have no one that's going to be able to contain Lamar Jackson. I'm not a Lamar Jackson guy, but man, I would consider like streaming him if you have him on like a backup quarterback and your starter doesn't have a great matchup. You could use him confidently this week. I can't even name too many of their receivers. I mean, no one's scared of them. However, who the hell is in the Dolphins secondary that's going to be able to stop anyone? You have Xavier Howard and then question marks kind of everywhere else. Super confident in Baltimore here, not confident whatsoever in the Dolphins offense, playing against like a top 3 defense. This is a bottom 3 offense going against the top 3 defense. It could be a bloodbath. I'm going 2 units. I'm surprised I'm not going higher than this on the Ravens.
You know what? To your point about the secondary, they don't need to cover anybody. Because Baltimore doesn't have any wide receivers that worry anybody in this league.
That's
true. So I don't know that there's anybody to worry about. Like I said, Mark Andrews is the only guy I think that is anything. But for that reason, I'm almost leaning more towards the under because it's going to be like 14 play drives for the Ravens. They're going to punt every now and then because Miami's going to be able to load the box. #us.
Boom.
And it's going to be such a slow-going game. It could end up being like 14-3 or something like that. Or 14-10. Who knows?
Like you said, Baltimore is going to have a bunch of 13, 14 play drives, and Miami is going to set an NFL record for 3 and outs.
Yeah, we'll see.
How it's going to go. Let's move on to San Fran at Tampa Bay. This game I have as a pick'em with an over-under at 50.5.
So I'm not on this game, but I did tell you people to bet Tampa Bay, so I'll ride it with you when it gets to that point, but this isn't one of my unit games. Tampa Bay, pick'em. It's at home. I'm excited about this offense. I think Jameis and them are going to put up numbers. This is the perfect team for them to beat right away in San Francisco. Defense is improving. I think they ended up with Ndamukong Suh there. They've got Levante David. They've got White. So they've got some guys on defense and obviously offensive weapons. I like Tampa Bay winning this game. So I think when it's all said and done, I will definitely end up picking Tampa Bay. So I guess straight up and against the spread, it's Tampa Bay.
Well, it's funny in this one because if you like a side, you probably should bet. You know, I mean, all you can do is win.
Yeah.
But I couldn't justify putting money on this game. I've got San Francisco for both, obviously. I don't have much for this one, honestly. It's a complete game that I just look at and bypass. Like, I want nothing to do with this in an actual wager. Why I took the 49ers straight up in this one, though, I just seem to have a little bit higher hopes for them in general this season. When I went through the week-by-week picks, I know for a fact that I took the 49ers in this game. And here's the key word, potential. I like the potential of this offense. As of now, even through the preseason, it really didn't prove anything. Garoppolo was a question mark. The wide receivers are a question mark. At running back, they don't have McKinnon. They still have Breida and Coleman, which I like. But I think I'm taking more so like the Kyle Shanahan offense and the potential that this team has over what I think the Buccaneers will be. So it's a no play for me as well. But you always make me pick, so I'm going to go with the Niners.
Nope.
Next. All right, here's one for you then. We got the Kansas City Chiefs favored by 3.5 at Jacksonville. Over under 52.
All right, I'm not taking any over-unders this week. I'm sure I'll jump into that once I lose all these spread picks that I'm throwing you guys at.
Nailed it.
This is my lowest unit game. This is one of my games. I just think Jacksonville's defense, they're going to be hyped. They're better than they have been. There's so much hype around Kansas City. There's going to be natural regression. We've got a year of really good tape on Mahomes. And if there's one team that I like having the tape on Mahomes, it's Jacksonville's defense.
Right.
So I am on Jacksonville at home. The home dogs I love, plus 3.5. 1 unit only.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're not usually a 1 unit kind of guy. You usually go big or go home.
Yeah, I don't want to commit too much to this game, but I do like Jacksonville.
And you got to save money for week 2 if it goes wrong.
Exactly.
All right, well, both straight up and against the spread, I have Kansas City, but it's not a tracked play for me in this one. My reason is, and I'm a believer with you, that usually the defense is a little bit ahead of where offenses are at this point. But I said teams like New England, I think teams like Kansas City, they're kind of the outlier of that curve. I think their offense is going to be just fine. And at the end of the day, an offense who knows what the plan is, they know where they're going, they know what their game plan is going into it. The good offense, I think, has a leg up on the good defense. That doesn't always prove to be true. Look at the Super Bowl. It didn't work out that way. But in this game, I just can't go against what I saw from Patrick Mahomes last year. I have to give them the slight edge. But, man, that hook scares the hell out of me. I would not I wouldn't bet it. Like for the sake of this, taking Kansas City, but I would not bet it.
I also think that the running game's going to work against Kansas City and help Jacksonville control the ball.
Oh
And
yeah.
Nick Foles is going to help keep the guys out of the box a little bit more for now until he sucks. But the people are going to just give him a little bit more respect. But I mean, Kansas City's defense is just bad, so I don't know if it matters if they load the box. It's gonna all day. I'm going to use that. So
It's
yeah,
beautiful.
another reason why I'm on Jacksonville.
It's probably the game I'm looking forward to most watching on Sunday at noon, and the Dolphins play at noon. So that's saying something. I usually want to watch the Dolphins game, but hey, that TV behind me is going to be on the Chiefs as well.
That Dolphins game is going to be literally like Big Ten or like Virginia versus Wisconsin in college basketball. Like it's going to be so bad.
Am I going to be the only person watching it?
Yeah, viewer rating of one person in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
It's embarrassing. Let's move on to the Titans at the Browns. We have the Browns at home favored by 5.5, over under of 45.5.
So I'm gonna go with what I said. I'm gonna fade Cleveland. Again, not one of my picks, but it'll probably end up being a winner because it's one of my strategies. I should be following my own strategies, but fade Cleveland here at home. The hype is up there, but there's a lot of guys that just haven't played together yet. Right. And if Tennessee plays it right, they're again another team that can control the ball offensively and is improving. People expect them to be better. Mariota has to prove a lot. I don't think they win this game, but I do think they play it really close. Cleveland will edge it out. So straight up Cleveland against the spread. I'm on the opposite side. I'm going Tennessee.
Oh, I'm opposite of you on this one. It's not one of my actually charted plays, but I got straight up and against the spread. I've got the Browns. Yeah, their offense on paper, it looks legit, but we don't know. Like, that's going to be a big unknown. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. It should be fine, but time will tell. What I like in this matchup is that Browns defense because they did a lot to improve as well. And man, it is such a make or break season right now for Marcus Mariota. There was all that chatter preseason like, is Tannehill going to unseat him before the season even starts? And I don't think either of you or I believed that was going to be a realistic thing. But he's never had this much pressure on him going into a season. So we're going to see like if he can make it or break it, and if he can become that franchise quarterback they drafted him to be, or if he's going to end up being like the Dolphins version of Tannehill, who just sat in mediocrity for like 5 to 7 years. And that's the way that they're trending. I agree with you. The way Tennessee can stay in this game is control the clock, obviously contain that offense, and just pound Derrick Henry. They haven't really proven that they want to play that way in the past. We'll see if it happens, but for that reason, it's not an official pick, but I have to take Cleveland for both.
And you know what? It may be crazy, but I think Tannehill is better than Mariota. I actually believe that he is. And I think the reason they're starting Mariota is just because they're going to give him this one last chance. And if he fails, they're just going to go to Tannehill without hesitation because they have that guy riding them with the challenge. So it's like if he buckles under pressure, it's like, fine, we'll just throw Tannehill in there. But I think he's better. I think they know he's better.
There's definitely an argument for that. I mean, who's like proven to do more? They've kind of had a very similar career path. And Mariota's been questionable for half of his career. And Tannehill's been beat up likely more than any quarterback. He's like Andrew Luck with how much he's been hit. Like, it's a miracle that guy can still stand.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen more out of Tannehill in his career, more like just better plays, more good highlights than I've seen on Mariota. I think Mariota, 1 year I was like, oh, he looks okay. Ever since then, I just not impressed. Never been impressed.
I can get behind that argument. Let's do one more before the read here. We've got the Rams minus 2.5 at the Panthers, over under of 50. What do you have here?
Well, this is actually my last game. So Rams going across the country to Carolina, and I think we might have our first argument too. I've got Carolina plus 2.5 at home. Rams are coming across the country. I've said I don't know if I believe in Jared Goff. Yeah, I want to see it. I think Carolina's going to be 10 times improved. Cam Newton's going to come out fired up. First home game. They have to come out east. That cross country flight is already hard enough, so I'm just going to keep emphasizing that. They have to fly out east. They have to fly out east. They have to fly out east.
Where do they got to fly out to?
East. I think Carolina's going to bring. I think they've got some shit to come out and get after. I'm excited to watch DJ Moore. Right, excited to watch Christian McCaffrey. This might be my most excited game for Sunday, and I think it's 3:00, so it's going to be one of the focus games. I like Carolina winning this game at home 3 units.
Ooh, so it's not an all-out disagreement because straight up I do have the Rams, but that's not the way I'm going because this is going to be a tracked pick for me. However, I'm betting on the total. I'm going to go over 50. I sort of alluded to it on our fantasy preview podcast earlier. I think this is a game, if you're playing daily fantasy, you should probably load up on some of these guys, the DJ Moores, the Cam Newtons, the CMCs, Cup, Woods, Brandon Cooks. Don't get all of them on the same team. Maybe spread that out a little bit amongst different lineups. But I just like the offense in this game, and I think it has the makings of a bit of a shootout. So when I saw 50, no hesitation. I was thinking like 55, 56. I'm not too nervous about this number. Here's a contradiction. I'm only going 1 unit on it. I think I sold myself a little bit more on it right there.
Got it. Throw a couple units on that bitch.
But I'm going to go as a charted play. I'm going 1 unit on the over in this one.
I'm just glad. Well, no, I'm not glad. I like going against you because I feel like I win most of those. But Carolina plus 2.5 that's one of my favorite games. I don't know. I think you guys are going to be like, well, maybe DJ was onto something with Goff and the Rams. Maybe he was. I love Gurley, but I'm just worried about Goff. I know he has the weapons, but
right.
I don't know. There's something coming off that Super Bowl game. Confidence. We'll see.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, so I'll just go right into Pristine Auction because they are a sponsor of this podcast, so make sure you check them out. We're going to be doing another giveaway shortly here through Pristine Auction, so thank you very much to them. But if you head over to pristineauction.com and when you register and make your account, enter registration code LOADED and you will magically get $5 added to your account, courtesy of Ben Morgan and DJ Primo, so you're welcome in advance. But make sure you check that out at pristineauction.com today. DJ, I remembered what I was going to say. This early in the season, when there's not bye weeks, there are so many games to bet on.
Oh, yeah, all the games.
It's amazing. So the next one on our slate here is the Lions. 2.5-point favorites at Arizona, over under of 47. What do you have here?
I mean, I'd prefer not to talk about it, but this will be one of the games I leave it short.
Yeah, me too.
I think Detroit just goes in, wins the game, covers the spread, but I think Arizona's trash, honestly. I think they're still garbage.
So not a charted play for you?
No, not at all. Fuck that. I'm done. I did my last one already.
Fair enough. And I am not charting this play either. However, I do have Detroit both straight up and against the spread. This is going to come down to what we think's going to happen, which is Kyler Murray and that offense is going to go through some growing pains. I don't think Detroit's defense is like this overwhelming thing that's just going to be super overbearing to a guy like Kyler Murray. Is it going to be Kyler Murray coming in and having those struggles, or is he going to kind of do that Deshaun Watson thing where he just jumps out and surprises everybody? I'm not betting on that. I'm not betting on this game in general, but if I had to, I would take Detroit as well. So with that, we'll move on to the next one. We got the Bengals at the Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 9, over under of 44.
Again, not on my card, and not a game I would bet on, but because I think Cincinnati's trash, but in Seattle, obviously Seattle straight up. 9 points is a decent amount. I mean, you have to go Seattle minus 9. They're the superior team. It would be dumb. I would feel bad if I bet Cincinnati and lost it. I just would feel so dumb.
That was my exact theory on this. It's not a charted pick for me, but I looked at it and I'm like, man, 9 is a lot of points, but how in the hell would I ever put money on the Bengals in week 1 when I think that they're going to rival the Redskins, the Cardinals, the Dolphins for that first pick in the NFL draft? I just couldn't fathom doing it.
I'd feel better betting Seattle and losing.
Yep, that's exactly how I was on this one. And the thing is, Seattle's offense right now, you look at it on paper, it doesn't seem all that overwhelming. Like 9 seems like a lot of points for this team. We know what we have in Wilson. We know what we have in that running game. I think that's going to have to be what they rely on, at least early in the season, because we like Tyler Lockett. I think he's going to be a fine number 1. But they need some players, whether it's the tight end, whether it's another receiver, another couple of receivers to step up and really make that offense go. But I think if they can rely on the running game the first couple of weeks, get a guy like DK Metcalf some snaps, get him some actual in-game action, I think they'll be fine moving forward. But I don't like this as a bet. But yeah, I can't fathom betting on the Bengals in this one.
Nope, not at all.
All right, let's move on to the Andrew Luckless Colts at the Chargers. This would have been a freaking fantastic game had Andrew Luck been 100% healthy, but obviously that's not the case. So we've got the Colts as 6.5-point dogs at the Chargers, over under a 45. What do you got here?
So I will never like these cross-country flights, especially a good team, and especially against a team who just lost maybe or a top 3 quarterback in the entire NFL. I mean, that's just not good juju at all. Not good juju Smith-Schuster. Chargers defense is going to be too overwhelming for them. Their offense is too good. I'll take the Chargers, and I will eat those points. I will swallow that 6.5, just because I think it's going to be a struggle for Indianapolis. After just the offseason heartbreak, it's going to be real tough for them.
Yeah, not a carded play for me either. And straight up, I do have the Chargers. However, gun to my head, if you're making me bet on this, I think I'm actually going to take the Colts because of something that I said on the podcast earlier this week. I think there's an outside chance that Indy comes into this game with like a chip on the shoulder saying, hey, no one believes us. Jacoby Brissett has this thing like, oh, okay, we were potentially being talked about as Super Bowl guys. Now we're in talks for being the first overall pick in the draft. There's something to say about that. I don't know exactly what the words are that should be said about that, but I think it's staying within 6.5 on week 1 in a team that's playing without their starting running back. I know he's been gone all offseason, all preseason. They're probably used to playing without him. And I do like that Chargers team, but I'm not betting on this for that reason. I like that Chargers team that much. But man, if I had to make a pick on this against the spread, give me the momentum that Indy might provide in this game to stay within 6.5.
Yeah, don't like it. Next.
Next, we have the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 7, over under a 45.
I mean, Zeke is back.
Yeah.
And Zeke is about to eat some giant butthole. I mean, he's just going to go off, which is going to make Dak that much better. People are like, oh, I wouldn't pay a running back that much. I think this is the only running back in the league that is worth it because Dak is provenly worse without Zeke on the field. He is such an important cog to this team. Obviously, straight up, I like Dallas. Eli, does anybody realize how good Dallas's defense has gotten over the last few years here?
Can you imagine if their pass rushers weren't suspended all the time? They'd be even better.
But they're an excellent defense. Like, their D-line, linebackers, they get to the quarterback. Like, Eli's going to die. He's going to die. He doesn't have wide receivers.
Right.
He's going to die. I feel bad for Saquon in this game more than any other. This might be a struggle for him right away. Dallas in both cases.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's not a carded play for me. And it almost was, though. Like, I highlighted this as a game that I like just because I saw 7. And in the NFL, yeah, that's a lot of points. But I didn't think it was enough because of all the things that you just said. And that was one of the reasons why I liked Christian McCaffrey and even Alvin Kamara more than Saquon this offseason from a fantasy perspective, because I think teams are just going to be able to key in on stopping Saquon. That's obviously what the Cowboys are going to do to try to do and take away in this game. It's at home. They got Zeke back. There was a rumor that he'll get like 20 to 25 snaps in this game. I don't know that I'm buying that. I think that guy can just step on the field and pretty much play full workload. And even if he doesn't, like you said, signing him isn't about just having the best running back in the league. It's about how much better he makes a guy like Dak Prescott and that combination with Amari Cooper. He just brings everything together so much. That's pretty much why they had to end up signing him. So, yeah, I'm with you. I like Dallas for both.
You know what gets me so giddy and so, crazy? I think gets us addicted to betting on football games.
What is it?
You can be watching a game, and you're up 21-7, and you're feeling good. You're up 28-7. You're up 21 points. And then the other team can score a touchdown, and then you're starting to get more nervous, and then a fumble, and next thing you know, that 21-point lead is down to 7 in a matter of 5 minutes, and it's like, if the 28 point or the 21-point lead looks so good, but you forget it's like 2 touchdowns and they're right back in it, like just like that it can happen because 7 points disappears so fast.
So,
It's so great.
so your motivation and your joy of gambling comes from blowing a 21-point lead and losing?
It's the like fear of it. It's the adrenaline rush that they could screw this up, and hopefully they don't. You just wanted to keep scoring, and it feels like you have a good distance, but you don't because it's like 7 points is a lot enough points. Like it's ridiculous how fast it goes away.
That is a hell of a strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you listen to this guy's picks.
It's so scary. It's so scary how fast it could just disappear on there.
Let's move on to the Sunday night matchup. It's the Steelers at the Patriots. Patriots favored by 5.5, over under a 50.
Have I ever told you how much I hate Ben Roethlisberger?
Oh, this is episode 214. I would say you've said it about 100 times.
So I almost forgot how much I hate Ben Roethlisberger just because Antonio Brown's been distracting me. And I had the TV on mute the other day, just looking at my computer, actually working on my article. What shit I have to finish tonight. And I saw his face come on the screen, and I'm not kidding you. I got irrationally angry. Like, I got so mad. I'm just like, I don't even know if he's a racist, but I'm like, you racist bigoty fuck. Like, I just hated him. Like, it's like, go throw in an ice pack and lay in an ice bath, like, right now, you fucker. I don't know. I just wanted to smack him. I hated him.
I assume that means you like the Patriots straight up and against the spread here.
Oh, that being said, this is the kind of game, I'm going opposite of what you think, that the Patriots in primetime at the beginning of the year, they usually kind of give up like it happened against Kansas City. The Patriots don't care this early in the year. They turn it on later in the year. I don't know what it is, but primetime, I think Pittsburgh comes in to New England, wins the game, and covers the spread. I honestly believe that. I'll end up betting Pittsburgh in this game.
I can get behind that to a certain extent. I just think it's prime time. It's Foxborough. No one goes into Foxborough and wins. So straight up, I do have the 4 million time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. But I'm with you to a certain extent because it's not a carded play. But against the spread, I would take Pittsburgh because I think I underrated their offense all offseason. I think it's going to be obviously not as good as it was when it had Bell and Brown, but I think it can come close to being like a top 7, 8 offense in the league with Juju and James Conner. I like the emergence of James Washington. I think they're going to be fine. I think they can stay within 5.5 here. It's a primetime game. It's week 1. Like you said, we don't know what quite to expect, so I think these teams are equal enough where it can stay within a field goal. So yeah, I don't like them as an outright winner, but I'm with you. I'll take them against the spread.
I bet if you go look historically, New England, I've seen it a few times. They lose these games because it's in September. I just don't feel like they do care, but it's just like they're just getting started and they really get into their groove going, a few games in. And these are the games that they end up losing, and the fans don't care because they're like, whoa, we do this all the time. Right. We're just going to be there at the end of the year and go to the Super Bowl. So they won't be down. They won't care that they lost that first game. But I just think that they do. I think that Pittsburgh wins this game.
Say it with confidence, and they'll believe you, DJ. That's all you got to do. All right, well, this week, Monday features 2 games. The first one being the Houston Texans at the New Orleans Saints. Saints favored by 6.5, and we have an over-under of 52.5.
So this one's interesting because I do think Houston's going to have a solid year, but it is in New Orleans, first game of the year, so I think, and I'm peeking at years, but both these teams are good football teams, and Houston just added a good tackle finally, which improves their offensive line.
Big time.
Tank Dolphins. And I still think the Saints win this game because there's still improvements that need to happen on the Houston defense. They have a good front 7 there, but I think their secondary is still lacking. Still weaknesses on the offensive line. New Orleans is one of the most rounded teams in all of football. So I think they win the game, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close. So Houston's got to cover that spread. You
mentioned something that just created like a revelation in my head, and it was the word Dolphins and tank. And then I realized just like last week, they released Tank Carradine. So they are really trying to make themselves look like they're not tanking. However, he was like the second or third best pass rusher on the team, which in hindsight kind of means, yeah, we are tanking.
Maybe there is their secret code way of tanking.
Someone's theory was that Laramie Tunsil plays left tackle, and after they draft Tua, the important tackle is going to be the right tackle. So they don't really need Tunsil.
Love it.
It's like, can't you just flip him to the other side? It doesn't always work that way, but I'm sure he'd be okay. Back to the first Monday night game. Straight up, yeah, I've got the Saints. It's hard to go against the Saints ever at home. It's not one of my carded plays, but if I had to go against the spread, I think I would take Houston because I think they can hang around to that touchdown mark. And I think adding Tunsil to that line, it's funny because when he got traded, there were some people saying like, oh yeah, he's a top 3, he's a top 5 tackle. And now it's kind of come out like, what were they doing trading 2 firsts and a second for a guy that's like a top 15 tackle? I think people are so low on him, the people that think he's only top 15, because they haven't seen him. Like the rest of the Dolphins' offensive line was so bad. They were always getting sacked. The guy can only do so damn much. I think on that team with that quarterback, it's going to make a nice difference. I really like the Texans more than I did when we did our season predictions. I think it can start showing early. I think they'll be fine. Not betting it like all out as a carded play, but if I had to take it, I would say that they can hang within 6.5.
Yeah, definitely.
We got one more game. It's the late game on Monday. It's the Denver Broncos favored by 1 at Oakland, over under a 43.5.
So I'm not this isn't a carded game for me, but I'm going to bet it because I know myself. I'm going to bet Sunday night and I'm going to bet both Monday night games because that's the degenerate I am, and I love it. I love everything about it. As my son stands literally inside the doors and waves at me because he's supposed to be in bed.
Teach him early, man. He can become a degenerate sooner rather than later.
A little shit. He's literally just waving. I feel like this is like the beginning of a scary movie. I'm going to bet Oakland in this game because I just think Oakland is extremely underrated going into this season. I know Antonio Brown was talking a lot of shit today on the old Instagram sphere, which I thought was wild. And I last night after watching Hard Knocks, I was all jacked. Like Antonio Brown got me all hyped to work. Like when you see a guy working out in the water, you're like, this guy's a fucking monster.
With weights, if I had weights on me in the water, I would be dead right now. I would drown.
You'd be screwed. You can't swim without weights. But I was like, oh man, this guy is a monster, and he's been killing the league, touchdown, PPR every which way every year, and you watch those things and you're like, this is why. And it's just, he gets you so pumped, and then you see this thing on Instagram, and I'm like, and then you hate him, and you're like, well, why did I draft him this year?
Oh yeah, about him getting fined and everything, and then just posting the letter that he received. You're like, what are you doing? Just play the fucking game.
But Josh Jacobs eats in this game. Antonio Brown will end up eating this game. Josh Jacobs is going to go off. I'm telling you right now, Oakland wins this game at home. Denver sucks. Joe Flacco's going to throw an interception or 7. Oakland wins. I have to bet this game. Oakland has to win.
Like you said, you have to bet this game. It's the ultimate chase game. It's a second Monday night game, so you get like 2 chase opportunities. And I already predicted that going into talking about these picks because it is a carded game for me. It's tied for my biggest play. I looked at this. At Oakland, how are they not favored by 3.5, maybe even more? The fact that they're getting points, it's not like they can lose anyways and cover the spread. I don't care. They're going to win this outright. Obviously, that means they're going to cover the spread. I've got 3 units on it. The same exact reasons you said. And here, the only reason I think maybe it doesn't go out as we're planned is if Denver's defense plays so lights out and just catches Oakland off guard. Maybe the Antonio Brown thing becomes a distraction. Maybe Josh Jacobs has a tough rookie debut. That's literally the only way I see Denver hanging in this game because I don't think they have the offense to do it. I don't believe in Flacco. I think Oakland's defense made some nice improvements this offseason. I think that offense has the potential to be not a top offense in the league, but man, they can get it done. If Carr and AB can get on the same page, that could be a pretty damn nice season for Oakland. So with that, at home, getting points, 3 units on the Raiders.
Let's go. You know what I thought was crazy is that, you didn't see, any Tyrell Williams in this, the Hard Knocks. You didn't see any Josh Jacobs.
None.
Josh Jacobs didn't even exist in the whole thing. Some guys just didn't even, after that first episode, it seemed like Abrams didn't even really exist.
I don't know if Hard Knocks just got sick of that guy or what happened, but he was the star of the first show. He was going to be that personality, that guy that just created all this shit. I don't know if Oakland, like the coaching staff, said, "Hey, dude, knock that shit off," or what happened. They ignored him until last night, basically.
So, and this was my least favorite season of the Hard Knocks. I still liked it. I'm still watching it, but I think I
Right.
figured out why. In all the other seasons, we get to see like the GM in the office with the coach and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
like, you'd see Mike Mayock talking to the camera and Jon Gruden talking to the camera
Mm-hmm.
and Davis talking to the camera and talking to each other and they'd be in on those meetings. They didn't do that like hardly at all this year. Like it was always with players and then just on the field. And I didn't like that. I liked when they show those coaching moments and Hugh Jackson just friggin'
Yeah.
looking
Those were
like an
funny.
idiot.
Yeah, those
like,
were
it
really
was
funny.
hilarious when he tried to like dominate the D coordinator, and he just wanted to kill him. It was
Right.
great.
I just wonder if Oakland like didn't give him clearance. You're like, hey, you can follow us around. We're just not doing that.
They did. They get to edit it. I think they get like full control of like what's the coaches get like full control of like the editing and
Right.
what they show. So he has to like approve things.
Yeah, I would say my most disappointing thing from Hard Knocks this year was the fact that Mitchell Renz got more airtime than Richie Incognito.
Yeah, I think Cognito's a little bit controversial. But I forgot about Mitch Renz being on there. I sent a tweet that way. I got like 100 retweets. What an absolutely awful voice that is.
in case you missed the last episode of Hard Knocks, our boy Mitchell Renz, he's been a featured guest on our podcast more than anyone else in the history of the world. He was literally, his voice was on podcast. His voice was on Hard Knocks like 3 separate times last night.
I think it was
4. Was it 4 times?
Yeah, I think it was 4, and the last one was really long. We got to have him on literally on the next episode just to talk about that.
My favorite thing was DJ tweeted at him and said, "Hey, congrats on making it on. We made you famous."
We did. First podcast, we never had him on. He says it.
Oh, I love it. DJ, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we start our true gambling on week 1 in the NFL?
I just want to get out of these mosquitoes, for real.
As always, thank you once again for listening. Check us out on Twitter at LoadedBox. Ask your fantasy football start-sit questions, anything you may need there. Check out our website, loadedboxpodcast.com. We've got our articles, we've got our podcast. Everything that we produce is there. Next episode, we'll be back week 2, talking our fantasy football preview for the second week. Available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review. DJ, let's gamble. Send us out.
Bye.